Man, this is wow. I'm excited. I want to learn more of it. Yeah. So yeah, like hmm.
You want to do like you want to do an interview. So it's, if it runs long, it ends up being like a two-parter. So we could do the first part on the future of real estate investing and the second part on blockchain, or we could record two, one that's just about blockchain and one where I kind of talk more about why technology is important. And I don't know, what do you want?
I think
What
that
best
that would
serves
be
your people?
smart. I mean the technology part. So what you're saying is the technology part is or could be a separate discussion from blockchain.
Oh, I think people need to first understand why we're
The
here.
technology part first,
What
right?
I think they need to understand why they have to start paying greater attention to the technology that's out there. I believe that everything that is not absolutely human can be done through technology. And what a world that would be if all we went to work to do was to be human.
Hmm.
So I think that we need to talk about, we need to de-escalate the fear around advancing technology in our industry, because real estate is one of the last ginormous industrial dinosaurs. Banking has fintech. Fintech is in everyone's hands. Everyone's online banking. Everyone's sending money through PayPal. What do you use? There's Stripe,
Venmo.
Venmo. I mean, like, we're already using fintech. We're using a little bit of that in our business. People are already using Contech, which is construction technology, in all of the buildings that we're doing now, new products and all that. It's already around us. But the processes and the digitalization of some of the things that we do within real estate haven't been fully hugged. I'm just going to say hugged, embraced. Yeah, I mean, like, because you should love anything that gives you time.
Mm.
Technology allows you to buy time. And I don't know anything else that buys time without taking it from another person.
Mm.
The reasons why the greatest civilizations existed was because they stole time. Enslavement of peoples is the same thing as the theft of time. It's the theft of life.
Wow.
Technology is the new enslavement of time, and you don't have to take peoples. You just have to take time. Time inside of a processor is not the same time in a human life. A processor can get done things so much faster. Time inside of a processor is different than human time. So what we need to do is start enslaving processor time and process through processes versus putting people through processes to steal their time.
Man, that is super deep. Wow. I mean, like it's taking things to a whole nother level that people aren't even aware of. And if you are aware of it, my biggest thing would be, where do you go? How do you do it? What's the next step?
Yes. So how do we do it? And how we do that and accomplish it is by supporting and utilizing ourselves the new processes and apps and companies that are out there who are already successfully solving these problems. The solutions are already out there. We just don't know to look because we don't know that those solutions are there. Because we are in a giant, real estate right now is at the tipping point of a paradigm shift between an analog society and a digital society. If you do not get on the right side, if you are still on the analog side, as soon as that tipping point pushes into full digitalization, you will be lost. Mom and pop running their business on a sheet of paper that process will crush you, because people like me and you who are going to embrace the digitalization of real estate investing are going to be using processors and not people to process whatever we do throughout our day.
Oh, it's amazing. Damn. So what brought you to, how did you get like juiced up about this? What's your big why? Why, like, how did you get into this? Like, what sparked your interest?
Let's get a little honest. The past 3 years of my life has been a shit show. And I started full-time real estate investing end of 2015. Was able to create a decent portfolio I could live off of. 2017 started, and I got slapped with a divorce, and my business partner was my wife, and we are going through a 3-year divorce. And so that's pretty much stymied my growth. That will be talked about at some point, because everyone should get a prenup. There's my little life tip to everyone listening, or a postnup if you already are married. And that's because you love the person you're with, not because you're afraid of them. It's because you love them, and you should set that up from the beginning, just like you should set up an operating agreement for your business. So, with my growth being stymied in developing my company, I just started giving to people and giving my time, lecturing, helping people with meetups, starting meetups. I've been doing tons of networking, and I've been investing in myself. I've done some really cool things. Like, a lot of people know who Kathy Fettke is. I wanted to make her someone who was like in my circle of people, because the first time I heard her, I was like, this woman is smart.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity to go stand-up paddleboarding with her in Costa Rica.
Oh,
and she was
sweet.
my roommate for a
Wow.
week.
Yeah.
So I got to just be, so I looked for opportunity, and I just happened to respond to a Facebook post she threw out there. She just said, hey, what badass chicks want to go stand up paddleboarding in Costa Rica? And I was like, me? I didn't have the money. I put that on a credit card. I brought like $200 to spend the whole week because I was broke. But that opportunity, I couldn't let it slide by.
Yeah.
And now I've positioned myself that if I have something that I'm like, I need someone's real opinion, I know I could always go to Kathy and say, can I have some help? So I basically used my time as my greatest resource and gave and added value, and then looked for opportunity to set myself up when I got back to the other side. And that's where I am right now. I'm in a rebuilding phase, and no one likes to talk about, everyone wants to talk about like, I did great. Or they'll talk about their failures when they're done and they've re-succeeded. I'm at the place, and I'm talking about my divorce and how hard it is at the absolute bottom when it's the worst. And I'm an underdog. I'm hoping I succeed. Like, this is where people pick up fans, right?
Yeah.
I'm currently picking up fans, and I'm picking up fans because I have self-educated to the point where I spend 8 to 16 hours a day reading about real estate and investing. I'm up late at night. It keeps me up. I love it. I'm so passionate. I just want to bring in every little bit of knowledge. And so I wanted to start a podcast to vomit all that knowledge on anyone who is willing to listen. And I picked technology because I know so little about it. I also see that it's the absolute future of everything. And I'll tell you what, it's not just the technology within real estate investing that will greatly influence it, but how about this? Self-driving cars.
Right.
How does that affect property value? It does. It does immensely. How about at-home learning? Oh my gosh, kids learning from the internet? You don't need to live in the greatest school district ever. Yeah. So location, which has been what every person involved in real estate investing has been screaming from the top of the hill since the beginning of feudalism.
Or how about these colleges that are,
it's over,
probably going to be crumbling, and everybody's going to be doing it online, and all the people that invested in homes all around these colleges. I've been saying that
forget short-term rentals. Who's got college housing apartment buildings?
Yeah, that's from, yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
I went and spoke at IMN's networking event last year, and we were talking about, on a panel, can't remember exactly what it was about. It was a great panel, though. We were talking about, it was student housing versus assisted living facilities.
Oh.
And I basically dropped a bomb and said, you will not have Like your be prepared to remarket your student housing, because these universities are going to make it's like an HOA, guys. That university has control over those students. And if they say you will fill our student housing until filled, and maybe some seniors can leak out, maybe postgraduate school becomes in-house too now. I don't see that coming for some of the higher learning institutions. But when these institutions own real estate like they do, and they've been expanding and building, they've put all of their money into these properties, guys, it's coming.
Yeah, it's here. It literally, it's here. Like
so
it's going to happen. The handwriting's on the wall. If anybody doesn't see it today, like, I don't know how much clearer it needs to get. Like, it's going to happen. And they're already, their pocketbook is affected by it. So
let me throw this out. I was working with Loyola University on instituting a one-day summit. And the woman I was working with actually did all of the online education for the law school. And real estate was a passion project of hers. And she told me the law school made $400,000 that year from that's what they made in total from the people who came to the college for the master's program for law, or I'm sorry, basically their law program.
Sure.
They made $4 million off of the online. So their whole entire program is really being made online. The value is all online.
Yeah.
So where do you think
technology?
Yeah. And these schools aren't stupid, but they are going, what are we going to do with all this real estate? What do we do with all these buildings?
Right.
The buildings are a liability. Those buildings aren't assets anymore.
Correct.
Their online presence is their asset. So if assets are all moving online, how does online assets, like with university online education, how does that affect everything? I mean, buying a house, now you don't have to go, like I said, you don't have to go buy in the right school district, because you can live. How about, like, look at Chicago. You're in the West Loop. Okay. So 4 miles, just 4 miles outside of the city loop are some of the grossest residential areas in the city.
Right.
However, guess what? When your school district when it doesn't matter if you have to live in a certain area or not, and public transportation is no longer an issue because self-driving cars,
right.
You don't need to be on pub trans. We're going to have pub trans will become self-driving cars. And when that happens, 4 miles out from the city center, that Class D area now is Class A.
Yeah.
If city values maintain.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
right.
I've been talking about the deurbanization for the past 3 years, the deurbanization of America, because they haven't figured out the city centers haven't figured out school districts. Public schools, not great. Public school, I mean, in Chicago, we've got magnet schools, but there's no guarantee. So here we are with the millennials, fertile millennials, all these women who've gone in, gotten careers, and they're starting families, 2 careers, 2 incomes, all of this stuff, living downtown, paying $8,000 a month for a 3-bed, 2-bath condo, right? Rental. Now going, we need to cut. I might have to take a year off. I might want to take a year off. I might not come back to work. I don't want to raise children this close to other people because of the potential for another viral release to shut down all my amenities. I want a backyard. I want to be able to have 10 people come to my backyard party. I want to be human again.
More than 25.
Yeah. I want the space to be able to have a 10-person dinner party because I can have 10 people inside my house. Where do I want more space. I want my amenities back. I want to be able to enjoy people. I don't have to live downtown anymore. I'm probably going to be working from home. Give me that backyard. Give me my white picket fence. Let someone stay home and raise my kids. Work from home. I believe we're coming back to a resurgence of 1950s-esque wants. We just went through this time period where we all got to spend more time with our families. And again, technology allows us to be human, more human. You can't steal time from humans anymore. It's wrong. It's unethical. I mean, I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for making money. But you don't have to do it on the backs of people anymore. You can do it technologically. So if you want to build a multi-family investing civilization, do you want to reign supreme? Stop stealing people's time, you thief, and get on board with technology and do it before everyone else does.
Amazing.
Get that competitive advantage.
Yeah, that is like so cool. Like you mentioned earlier about the technology and stealing, like the trade-off. You used a beautiful phrase on that. You've said so many key phrases here that I try to write things down as you're going along. It's like, that's good. That's really good. But you're talking about like stealing like the time. Like we can't create more time, but through technology, we can definitely create lots of time.
We
right?
Can't create human experiential time.
There it is. Yeah.
But your processor and your computer processes at a speed so much faster than human experientialness. I was a philosophy undergrad, so I mixed technology with philosophy a little bit here, and it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Your computer and your processor experiences time differently than you do. Robots will experience time differently than you do, and they don't. And when you look at it like that, it's not scary.
Yeah. So where do you see this going in the next two? Like you just spoke about, hey, I've seen this, like you're talking about it like 3 years ago. So where do you see it in 2 to 3 years from now?
Despite our really low investment in Q1 for this year in property technology, I believe there'll be a resurgence in it. We've had this is like the third wave. This is the third wave of technology starting to hit real estate investing. And if you talk to a lot of marketers, comedians, professionals, 3 touches, right? I want 3 touches on things. If I'm going to tell you a joke, I'm going to say something like, oh, I lost my baseball. I lost my best friend, and I lost my finger. Like that third one is going to be that one, that humdinger, right? In
Right.
comedy, you go 1, 2, bam, and you hit them with the third one. In marketing, 1 touch, 2 touch, boom, third one, big touch. There's my sale.
Right.
I lost where I was going with this. Where was I? Sorry, there was something about 3 touches.
Where do you see this going in the next 2 to 3 years?
Okay, that's it. Third wave. So we're on the third wave of real estate being affected by technology. First was the internet happened, right? The second was Trulia, Redfin. The MLS is now on the internet. And now we're at a place where the internet is everything. I mean, the IoT, Internet of Things. Like, why is it called IoT? Because it's the Internet of Things. All the things that are influenced by technology and advancements and what we can do because of the internet and our connectivity. In 3 years from now, wow, that's a really broad statement. Okay. In 3 years from now, I believe that multifamily is going to be hurting a little in cities that aren't aggressively affected by technology. We're lucky that technology is going to be breaking off from the San Francisco Valley and being reportioned across the United States. I believe that each city will be its own technological hub. For example, we'll take a city. Let's just say Rochester, Minnesota. Okay, that's not a city we would think of mostly for much, right? But the Mayo Clinic's there, isn't it?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah. So huge medical city.
Yeah.
That becomes a med tech hub. And the city of Chicago, we are one of the greatest entrepreneurial small business cities in the world. We've got a lot of entrepreneurial startups here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Chicago's great. And I always like to tout Chicago. But we get a lot of the new talent comes here from Big 10, from the whole Midwest.
Mm.
And we have so many different industries here too. Chicago is one of those cities that doesn't really lay on one industry alone. So we have so many different tech touches in Chicago. There's so many different industries in Chicago we can touch on for tech. So it's a burgeoning small business tech startup city. But I mean, think of any of like the other cities where they have a lot of one industry. Those cities will develop as tech cities for that industry. Those tech startups are going to start going to those locations instead of making everyone come to San Fran. So I would predict San Francisco's devaluation in 3 years. I would predict suburban relocation. So small family investing in the suburbs where people can have space. I think that will increase. I think there's going to be a new design for co-living. I see.
For sure.
Man, people in like the Nordic regions have so much figured out that we haven't, that America's like blind to. They have some really cool living situations with families that basically rent an apartment that doesn't have a kitchen or a really big living space. And those surround one central space that everyone shares. And there's co-living that goes on. Like I was watching one documentary on it, and it was like a single mother with 2 kids. And then there was an older couple. And then there were a couple younger people who were just like starting their career. And there was a divorcee a single guy, but he was like a CEO somewhere, and they all lived together.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, the old couple helped take care of the younger kids with who had the single mother, and they benefited from that and added value. The younger guys coming up benefited from the CEO who lived amongst them. He kind of worked as a mentor for them. The mom would prepare meals for everyone, like the single mom. So they just found out like these people were co-living, going, what do I have to give?
Yeah.
And
everybody brings in a little bit of something.
Yeah.
And everybody gains.
I think that's one way to look at co-living. I also think that I follow a lot of futurists. I'm very into looking much farther ahead and speculate. I would rather speculate potential and opportunity than speculate what values will be on an apartment building in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Because
that goes back to the Wayne Gretzky. He says, "Don't skate to where the puck is at. Skate to where the puck is going."
Right. So, I
So,
think there's 2 ways to hit a bullseye, and I love this analogy.
okay.
You can draw a target and practice shooting until you finally hit a bullseye, or you can shoot and practice. You can just practice shooting and paint the bullseye everywhere your arrow lands. I prefer the second method of shooting and then painting the bullseye. Where am I landed right now? What am I looking at? And how do I make success happen out of that? Yeah. I think you have to be thinking about the world that way. The analog version of thinking, our pre-paradigm shift into the new age of technology. You paint the target and then you aim for it. The new way of thinking, because we can move faster, we welcome mistakes, human mistakes, not computer mistakes, but we welcome human mistakes, because mistakes are the sharpest sword you can cut yourself out of. It is the greatest. Humans exist because of mistakes, or millions of years of mistakes and bad genetic programming, because genetics lives in human time. Computer programming lives in processor time. So now that we're getting to a place where we're living in processor time, human time, you can't do what you can do in processor time, you should not be doing in human time. You will get so far behind.
So
we went off in the woods
technology.
There too.
Yeah, that's fine. Leverage technology and just keep doing it. And so, like, if you're a new person, a new investor, say they got 1 or 2, properties right now, how would you recommend them to leverage technology, even at such a small level? We've kind of spoken about bigger level, like college, around the college and stuff. But somebody, and maybe even 5, a small portfolio, how would you say that they could leverage technology, to increase more time for themselves?
In cleaning up their processes. So I'll just talk about like one app that's really simple that really isn't exactly about real estate investing. So there's an app called MyLIQ. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I'm not, no.
But you can use it. You can use it for free. I mean, you can use it for free and try it out. But you can pay for the professional version of it. But what it does is it tracks every time you get in your car. So every time you travel in your car, it shows where you went, and then it allows you to swipe left if it was for business. You can go through monthly, you can go through daily, swipe left for business, you can swipe right for other. And then even within other, you can designate tax deductible drives, driving to your doctor's office. There's a few others. I'm not a CPA. I don't know all of them. But you can sit there and go, yes, that drive was to a property. Yes, that drive was to pick up goods. Yes, that drive, and it calculates it for you how many dollars that drive should be written off as a tax deduction.
Amazing. Wow.
They give you, at the end of the month, it sends you a whole thing, boop, send that off to your, whoever does your bookkeeping. Yeah. Yep. And that's a very accurate way to prove that you can write off all of that for your vehicle.
Amazing. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean,
that's just one way right there. Like
that's one tool.
Yeah, one tool. Wow. And you've mentioned the word apps at least a half a dozen times so far since we've been talking. And I can only imagine what other apps you have in your mind that, man. So Meghan, if somebody wants to get in touch with you and learn more about you and what it is that you're doing and follow you, where do they go? What do they do?
Well, they're going to have to be on Facebook or Instagram or have a computer. That's for sure. We've got a website right now set up for a podcast I'll be launching June 15th. It's called Tech Trends and Tricks of Real Estate Investing. For now, we're contemplating a name change just for SEO reasons. And the website for the podcast is www.ttrei.com for trends, tech trends and tricks. The TTT is for. Nice. That'll bring you up to date with everything we're doing for our podcast. The podcast will be talking about the utilization of technology throughout real estate investing. And it will talk also about the human side of things, because you can't talk about technology without talking about the human side.
That's right. Yeah.
Both are very interesting to me, but I do find myself being on the more ignorant side of technology. I couldn't put a PowerPoint. Actually, I could put a PowerPoint together when I was a firefighter, and that made me basically have to they basically made me instructor at that point. That's how far behind I was in 2015. I couldn't put together much more than a PowerPoint, forget Excel spreadsheets. And how do you do that?
A long ways in 5 years.
It's by getting beaten up, and I'm trying to. Yeah. So back to your question, people can email me too at info@ttrei.com. We have a Facebook group called Tech Trends and Tricks of Real Estate Investing. We've got almost 600 people on there exchanging ideas and stuff. Or you can find me if you Google me. I'm on LinkedIn too. So
awesome! Wow. Meghan, I really, really, let me start that one over. Mm-hmm. Meghan, I really, really appreciate your time. I have learned so much, and I can't wait to have you back on my show again regarding a whole nother level of blockchain investing. And we don't even want to get into it right now, because that's at least another 30-minute show, and that thing is going to blow people out of the water. So guys, if this has got your attention, the next one is going to really blow you out of the water. You definitely want to follow Meghan. And if you have any questions, like she said, shoot her an email, info@ttrei.com.
That's right.
Awesome. So guys, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to Meghan or myself on this. I'm probably not going to be able to help you a whole bunch on this, but I'm just learning and piggybacking piggybacking off of Megan here because, man, just even the conversation we had before the podcast is like, I've got a page of notes right here that I took. So I'm a note taker and I'm like, I got to wrap my brain around this. So guys, awesome. Go kick some ass. MF cash flow. Cool. Thanks, Megan. I appreciate it so much.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.